So I got the drill here. We parked it back here in the corner in the field over here. As I was coming out through the field, I noticed some of these pivot tracks are atrocious coming through here. They're built up from when it comes up the hill. I'm gonna have to go get a loader, get them knocked down so we don't tear up our drill when we try to do our end rows. All right, here we are. We are going to drop off the forks, that button. There they go, no more forks. And we are going to hook onto our bucket right here. We had a calf that couldn't find its mom, so we're gonna give it a bottle. It's right here in this little pen. So just like that, first time on a bottle. Well, we're cleaning up just some weeds out in this field here. Got a flat tire on our swather, so you have to jack that up. We're gonna go get a trailer with some air. Looking at this tire, just looking at it from my first assessment, it's gonna be hard to get to seal. They call this the bead, and that's got a seat clear out here. And you can see this big gap, which obviously you have to take a lot of air to fill. So I'm gonna jack it up, see if getting the weight off of this will let that expand out. And likely what we'll have to do is either option A, get a bead blaster, which is a little air compressor that exasperates all the air at once. It will try to fill that gap. If that doesn't work, we will try putting some starting fluid, which will, then you'll light a match to it and it will ignite and cause almost an explosion, but it expands because of the hot air. And if that doesn't work, we'll have to pull this whole tire off of the machine and we'll have to go get a tube and fix it that way. Okay, so good news, we got jacked up. This looks like a lot more manageable from this perspective. We still will likely have to bead blast it, but I think that should be able to get it going, and then we can get the swather up and go until we can get a new tire for it. And here comes the old man with the trailer. So that's what's gonna have all of our parts in it and our air compressor and all that stuff. So hopefully we can get back up and going. We just have to finish cleaning up this little corner field that hasn't had any water for 2 years. So now we've got our bead blaster, our air, and then we're gonna try to get it aired up. So we fixed the tire, just got back in the swather. Now we're gonna finish cutting this field here. I'm changing some wheel lines today. What they do is we have water come underground in a main line to all these risers, and then that carries water from a pump from the canal over here that's behind us, and that's what we irrigate our crops with. We live in the Mountain West where it's pretty dry, so like places in the Midwest and East get rain for their crops. We have to put water on the crops. So what that looks like is every line you have to shut off. You have to let it drain through these drain plugs right here. And then you walk down to the center of the wheel line, and there's a mover there. You'll roll it, and then you'll turn water back on. This is a crop we have. We have barley growing through here, and then we also planted in some grass. I'm a little concerned at where the grass is coming. You can see all these plants are our grass. It's tough when it's as hot as it is to get these wheel lines across, and so when they don't get enough water, it's hard for them to germinate. Only time will tell, but the barley looks pretty good on this, and we'll just wait another month or so and see what that grass does. I've got my seed loaded up here behind me. We're going to plant that field we got the drill hooked up for yesterday. We're hauling this down, and then we'll load up the hopper and be on our way. To get the tractor to have auto steer, you have to have one of these on top. It's a John Deere GPS Club. This one's a Starfire 7000. Usually we keep it on this tractor, but we also switch it out with our 9635 swather. So now I'm just putting this back on so we can do planting, and then we'll have to eventually switch back over to the swather when it's time to swath. Now we're gonna fill these boxes here with grain. So we've gotta open this latch. These little teeth are what's gonna spin that spits out the seed in between our discs. So this is a giant bin. We're gonna pick up that seed with the loader, and we'll fill this up. So here's our seed. We're gonna undo that little rope here at the bottom. It's gonna drain the seed into here, and then we'll tie it back off. We got this half of the hopper filled. Now we gotta move the loader over here, and we'll do this side. Seeder's all full. We put 2,100 pounds in. We're planting at 100 pounds an acre, which at that rate should let me do 21 acres. So we'll map it out on the GPS, and then it'll give us an idea when we need to refill. So I'll have to go through that refill process about another 3 to 4 times. So we're doing about 85 acres. So, and we are now planting. Did my first pass there, our second pass. You can see it really rides that line good with the GPS. I don't have to touch the steering wheel. It takes care of all that for me on this little screen here. I have to turn around at the ends and then let this thing do its thing. So while I'm sitting in the tractor with the GPS, you don't have to steer, obviously. So I kind of just sit here. Some things I like to do, I like to check the stock market, scroll reels. Sometimes I'll turn on the news or listen to podcasts. Other than that, I kind of line out what we're doing for the next day. Try to think of things that need done around the farm. I've got this set of headphones. I like to talk on the phone. Other than that, you just kind of sit here, enjoy the views. So the tractor I'm in is a John Deere 8300. It's an older tractor. Here's the controls for it. This is your throttle, so there's no gas pedal on the floor. You run it all with this. This is how you shift. You bump this up or down. It tells you your gear right there. And then this is how I pick up or set down my implements here. We only have one hooked on right now. You have the option of 3 on this tractor. This is your PTO, which I use on other implements, but not on this. Your 3-point hitch, which is the arms in the back of the tractor. And then this is how you engage your auto steer. So I turn around at the end of the rows, which I'll be getting to in a little bit. Then I find one of these white lines, and I click this button right here. So that's how you engage that. I've got a fuel sensor that's bad. That's why these lights are blinking at me. You just have your basic AC, windshield wiper lights, hazard lights, then your 4-wheel drive, and and then you can control your hydraulic flow there. Pretty simple to drive. Looks like my DoorDash is here with the food. I'm painting risers for the wheel lines to go across. This field here has 10 wheel lines on it, and so when we have our pipe changers rolling wheel lines, it gets a little confusing onto what set one starts before the next one picks up and goes from there. So I'm gonna go down and paint each one. The first riser, they start on red, and that'll just clarify for the people who change these. They know when they roll them back what riser to start on, so then the next line can pick up from there after that. I'm also counting each of these while I go, so then I know how many each wheel line has, so that way we can manage our water a little better. We're kind of overwatering a lot of this field. You can see it's that yellowish tint, which means usually it's either lacking some nutrients or it's getting too much water, and I think it's getting too much water. So we're gonna try to get all these sets counted, and then we can manage better and then be able to talk to our water master who calculates your water for you. So then we can have a little more water later on since it's a drought year. So once these wheel lines get to the end of their sets, which this one was, we gotta roll it all the way back to the other end of the field over there. So all you do is just start the motor, let it roll, kind of watch down each leg of the wheel line, make sure it's rolling straight so it doesn't get over one way or the other too far. And sometimes, like on this end, we'll have to hook up some of these extra pipe here. We'll go ahead and do that so we get it rolled back. Now that I've got that wheel line rolled back, we're gonna check the soil moisture. This field's got alfalfa coming up in it, which is what we planted along with barley. So these are the little alfalfa plants. We're gonna check to see how deep down there's moisture. You can see that's that darker color right here, which means there's still pretty good moisture in that ground actually. So since we've kind of been overwatering it, I might leave that off for another couple days. You can see there's still pretty dang good moisture, not even an inch deep. So we'll leave that off for a few more days. Now I'm going to get my parents' lawnmower from right there. I'm gonna hook on this trailer and take it to my house. I currently do not have a lawnmower. My wife's been wanting our lawn mowed. I'm gonna go hook that up, take it over to her, then she can get mowing. Okay, so we got done mowing the lawn now and loaded back up the lawnmower, and I'm gonna take that back. Just when I thought I was done planting, I opened up my seed boxes and saw this, which is not a good sign because that means I've ran out and I'm not sure where it ran out at. So we're gonna have to go try to figure out where in the field I ran out. So I'm gonna have to refill this and we'll go from there. This little piece here, I think I had some for, but I'm not sure. And then I went over and did another field. So to see where I ran out at, just to get an idea, I'm gonna be looking for seed in the ground. And we planted it pretty heavy, about 100 pounds. So you should be able to see quite a few seeds. Like you can see here, there's a seed here and here. And so looking at that kind of tells me that we didn't run out here yet. So I'm gonna walk in a little farther Okay, so inside here, there's still seed on the ground. I can see multiple seeds. So we're gonna go check the other little field I did, see if there's seed there. So that's the field I'm gonna go check, that wheel line field. And if there's seed there, we'll be good just to go around and do all the ends of the big field again. If there's not seed, we're gonna have to replant that. So it looks like we ran out of seed about halfway through this field. So we're gonna just double do it just to be safe. We're gonna start at that wheel line, work this way. We're gonna go do all the ends of our pivot field over there again. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's little mistakes like that kind of take up lots of time on the farm. So you live and learn, I guess. Finally on my final pass. Hopefully I can get it wrapped up today and then get this drill taken back and unhooked and then on to the next project from there. After work, we decided to take our family on a little trip by the river. This is
I found it.
Good job. I'm starting this pivot, which is another form of irrigation we do. It's got those towers with the tires on them back there, and they pivot from this point. This is the center. This is kind of like the control center for it. I'm cleaning this filter. It's a big filter that goes in there that filters all the water so you don't plug up all your sprinkler heads there, or we call them drops. And then this pivot, each tower moves a little bit and they eventually work around the field at whatever rate you set them at, so they can put down anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches is kind of what we run them at. So I'm going to clean this filter. You can see all this moss and build up on it, so we're going to clean that all off. I got the screen cleaned. I got it put back in there. Now we just hit start here on our pivot. You can see water starting to come out. Then once it pressures up, it'll start going. So I'm good here. And then we'll go down and just make sure everything's working right and that the pivot's going, and then we'll be good. We don't have very good pressure right now, so I was looking at trying to figure out what it was. And right here's our problem. So we should have about 65 PSI right here, and right now we have 30. And this is before all of our pivot stuff. So that means it's at our other pump that's the problem. So we gotta go make sure all of our valves there are open. This is our pump station. I found the problem. This valve is only open a tiny bit, so we gotta open this the rest of the way, and that should fix our pressure problem. There we go. Okay, that should fix it. This is the canal we draw our water from. It comes in through that screen. It's got a sprinkler there that keeps itself cleaning. Then that goes underground to our pump right over here, and then the pump pumps out to our different pivots and stuff. Every day I come, make sure this looks clean. It looks really good right now. I'm just gonna remove that stick so it doesn't catch more buildup, and then we'll be good to go. Now we're driving around checking pivots on our sprinklers, making sure everything's going good so we can get a good irrigation on this crop. Now there's water going on our newly planted field we just did. It looks like our end gun is plugged a little bit. You can see how the water is spraying out right there a little bit, which is not how it's supposed to be, and it's not quite shooting as far as it needs to be. I'll have to come probably pull off that nozzle and see if there's a rock or something in it, or see what's going on with it. Well, I've spent the last 30 minutes or so driving around looking for a ladder, so that's kind of sums up my day-to-day, is driving around a lot looking for odds and ends or fixing little things that shouldn't take long, but they kind of end up taking all day. It gets a little frustrating sometimes, especially when you're in a hurry, but it's just part of farming. As I was driving by, I noticed this end gun is off, which it should be, but there's another end gun underneath that, a secondary end gun is what we call it, and it should be on right now. So that means it's plugged. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drain this hose. There's the main end gun, then it comes down. This is the second end gun. You can see it's full of rocks, maybe some moss. This is the auto valve, which kicks on and off through a solenoid. It's got a bladder in here, fills with water. And then you've got this pipe that drains it. It's got a lot of stuff in it right now. So I'm gonna have to try to dig that out. I'm gonna unplug this first. Okay, I got this nozzle off. You can see it is packed with rocks. Now it's draining out. So gotta let it drain for a minute so I don't get too wet. Then I'm gonna put it back on. We'll kick on the pivot. I'm gonna leave this valve here open and we're gonna try to flush that out. And then after we get that flushed out, we'll just kick it back on and let it go. Well, I got impatient, decided not to let it drain. Got absolutely drenched. But we got fixed, so I'm gonna kick the pivot back on. We'll see if that can clean out and then we'll go from there. Okay, I finally got that thing unplugged. Now you can see the both end guns are running.